talk about the Toor Knives Serpent. But before I do, I just want to make it known that this is a really cool company. They're California based, and a former Marine runs the company. And, I really like the product that I have. And I'm also not a knife professional. I don't know how to make them, I don't know how to cut them, I don't know how to grind them. All I know how to do is buy them. Okay, so here's the Tor up close. There's the, I suppose, the serial number in USA. I like the logo. I think it's pretty cool. It's quite detailed, actually. I have to admit, it's quite detailed. So maybe now I can actually show you that. Yep, there's a pretty good example. Guys, look at how uneven the grind on this thing is. So look at the right side of the blade, how that last hump is there. I'll try to put maybe this pen cap here, so you can a point of reference of where on the knife I'm pointing to. Right? Look at right where the pen cap is. You see the right side of the blade, how the cut begins there, but it begins much further back on the left side of the blade. See that? And look at the tip. It's what is going on with that? I mean, it's definitely not cut evenly. It looks like an ankle. How, like, the inner part of your ankle bulges out and the inner one, I think probably, if you were going to capture it in a photograph, and you can see this on the website, and I'll put on some overlays. Observe this cut here, okay, right at the tip of the pen cap. It's the horizontal, or, it's the kind of diagonal cut. It goes from, let's call that 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock, this one here. It's much, much larger on one side than on the other side. And it's going to be pretty hard to show, but it's just not the same size. Like, they start the cuts at different points of the knife. Like, it's much, much longer on this side than it is on this side. Much longer. It's hard to capture on film, but it's immediately noticeable to the naked eye how uneven it is. I think there was a good way to show it that I had on a photo earlier. I mean, look at that. This is a pretty older article about the Toor Knives Serpent. This is from 2018, so maybe this is like a pre-production model. Man, does this thing look good. I wish that I could get this. I got the current model with the kind of black G10. This one looks really cool. But, granted, this is also probably a pre-production version. This was. So I expect that maybe no two of these knives will be the same, but let's just start with this photo, okay? I want you to look at this cut right here, okay? So this cut, that's the kind of diagonal cut. Let's just say it goes from like 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock, right above the tip of my cursor, and look at how long that is, okay? Now look at it on this knife. Much, much, much shorter. So this section of the blade here where the tanto is, it's not cut the same on these two blades. Like, look at where that vertical line starts. Right there, I'd say, there's a vertical cut, vertical if the knife itself was, straight across and not taken at an angle. So from this view, it's not horizontal, or it's not vertical. But it goes way behind where the next edge begins. And on this one, it's a little bit closer, but look at the size of the cut on this knife versus this knife. Totally different. Now looking back here at where the belly, or where the where the grind stops, where it comes to an end, look at the logo in comparison. Look at how the grind comes around to here. You can kind of see where the corner of the grind is by looking at this little pirate logo, where that line goes up, right? That gold line. The bandana goes up. It goes up right about into the corner. It's way off on this knife. And I don't know which one is supposed to be correct, but the grind on the top knife, on this one with the brown handle, is much lower. you could see that it goes below. They don't, the logo is not lined up with the grind. And at first maybe I thought, well, maybe they just stamped the logo in a different place, or they put a logo in a different place on the knife. I don't think that's the case, because if you look at the proportions of the this finger choil, the sharpening choil, to the end of the bottom of the logo, and also the top of the logo to the spine of the blade, it looks to be the same on both sides. So it's not that the logo is in different places on both knives. The grind is in different places on both knives. Now, granted, this may have been a pre-production knife, so that's fine. So let's look at the modern Serpents. So this is the Serpent that I bought. They call it green. It's more grayish, but I kind of like it. All right, so these are two colors of the exact same blade. This is the current model. Now the images are not totally aligned. If you look at the tips of the blade, they're not totally aligned, the angles, but they're aligned close enough that I think we can get a decent view of how uneven the grind is. So let's start with this horizontal cut here, which goes from about 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Okay. Look at the size of it on this one, on this blade. Now look at it on this one. Much, much smaller. This flat area, this swedge, is a different shape. They're cutting these knives. They're cutting the grind on them at much different places across different knives and on both sides of the blade. You could see at this image on the right side, this is kind of one of the, I don't want to say mistakes, but one of the endearing factors, let's say, that my knife has. You could see that this kind of right side of the knife, it's hot, like the grind is cut higher, closer to the tip. These are not cut by the same person. I mean, if they are cut by the same person, I don't know how they're cutting them. Again, I think it's okay if two different knives of the same type have slightly different cuts, but it should have the same cut on both sides of the blade, and I don't see that happening here. Here's the Cryptea, and by the way, the new blood red one, wow, this thing looks pretty good. I really wanted to buy one, but then I remembered that none of these knives are going to be cut the same. This is the same problem. Okay, so let me zoom in here. I hope the zoom is going to be the same on. Yep. So look at, let's just say, this flat portion of the blade, okay, above the grind. Look at how high up it goes, and look at the shape towards the top. Definitely different across these two. These are supposed to be the same knife. Okay, you could see how the cut is different across the two of them. This one, because it's a color that doesn't really cast shadows or reflect light the same as the other two variants, you can't really compare the bronze one. But the blood red and the standard black, I mean, even look at the jimping. They look kind of different. What's going on here? Look at the cuts on the right side and where the spine, because this is something of a clip point, right? The spine is not totally totally straight. It's kind of clip point buoy-ish shaped, and you can see where where it goes lower. So look at the spine on the right side and the one on the left side. They're cut differently. If this is going to bother you, I think for a $300+ knife, or a 200 and what is the Serpent cost these days? $275. And I had to pay shipping, I think. And $275 comes with the sheath, but it does not come with a mounting part of the sheath. So realistically, it's gonna be close to $300 with taxes and shipping. So if that's gonna bother you for a $300 knife, I think maybe look for a different knife. If it's not gonna bother you, it's a great knife. This doesn't bother me enough to want to return the knife.